Alright. First of all, let's continue the quest line of Eltariel for a bit. Afterward of this is actually the part where we actually tackle the quest line involving Bruz and Ratbag.
Good say, seems like it's been a while.
Be nice to see our old pal again.
Like I said, Dweebs, I purposefully decided to withhold that quest line involving Bruz and Ratbag for a good reason that I will explain later.
Reach Astrio.
You forgot the questline of Eltariel is about preventing the Chosen to be selected for, for the rituals of the Nazgûl. And in this case, if I recall correctly, they capture some of my captains, I think.
Well, that can't be good.
So, let's deal with the Nazgûl first.
Well, the Nazgûl. I've forgotten. How can a Nazgûl be killed?
They can't. We can just repel them as much as we can for the time being.
I think Bruz was asking, like, in the lore how you kill them.
Believe it or not, the game will actually ask and pose answers to these questions later on.
Oh, of course, I forgot. Shine the light at them.
Well, to an extent. If you talk about just in the book, since they were literally tethered around Sauron, by his defeat, essentially they were banished as well forever.
I forget, did we ever actually see the Nazgûl die on camera?
Yes, Jova, there's the infamous shot when, after the ring is destroyed, where one of the Nazgûls riding his beast gets destroyed by one of the meteors from Mount Doom.
Yeah.
The Witch King was banned. The Witch King was technically defeated by Eowyn during the Battle of Minas Tirith, but
I keep forgetting that the Witch King is like, a Nazgûl and not like Sauron's avatar or something like that.
However, in time it would have reformed, despite the rule about not being defeated by any man. But the defeat of Sauron obviously meant that he could not. So there is that. Go. Essentially, after Nazgûl is done, kill all of the Chosens.
By purified, we mean with fire.
Well, more like ice. Like I said, if you even get one of the perks, you even get Sub-Zero's fatality about freezing the enemy and shattering them into pieces.
That's how you purify someone. You freeze them down to absolute zero and then break them into a million pieces.
I guess.
There, purified. So that means that Han Bean was actually always a good guy.
Bihan.
Bihan.
Well, in most of the timelines, he technically is,
Wait, I thought he was often a bad guy.
Well, kind of. Well, okay, let me put it this way. He's not the one that killed, of course, Scorpion Samuel, because in 4 we revealed that it was actually Quan Chi in disguise, obviously, yeah. But Bihan was also usually portrayed also as the bad apple of the two, as usual.
True.
Ironic.
Before turning into Noob Saibot, he didn't really do anything wrong per se. Like, at worst, he was a bit, as we saw in Mythology Sub-Zero, he was a bit rude with the people around him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the first Mortal Kombat game, he's in the tournament for pure selfish reasons. So
Then there's Legends Sub-Zero, where he really doesn't even have time to speak his word.
There's also that in Mortal Kombat 9, before Kuai Liang enters the picture, Bihan is definitely not exactly being portrayed as a good person. So.
The spot freakers have some weird rituals.
There we go.
Wow.
Our army remains strong, and we have all but assured the Nazgûl cannot track us.
But they are still not defeated. As long as they are out there, we are not safe. You least of all.
We'll have to think about that later anyway.
One step at a time.
Eltariel's side quest will have one final mission that we'll get before the end of the main story, so we'll prize that eventually. And your reward for that is the skill that Celebrimbor could use in the DLC of the first game. The teleport attack that instead dominates the enemy instead of just killing them.
Very nice.
Now we're back in Nurnen because it's finally time to, like he said, listen to what Ratbag and Bruz have to tell us. Specifically teaching about resisting an assault to one of your captured fortresses.
Tower defense, essentially.
Yes and no, I guess. It really depends.
Tower defense in the sense, but not the typical gameplay associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got trouble. Generally the case. I'm bored of bosh with your nonsense, you little whinger. Whinger? Honestly, Bruz, that hurt.
Ow.
What's the trouble? But what I wanted to tell you is
Lord of the Rings was filmed in front of a live audience.
Like I said, for the time being, for the main game, this kind of humor is still relatively fine. But you noted that in the DLC they start to ramp it up, and for the other DLC would be kind of sort of similar.
I'm still
But
fine
again,
with it. For the
you haven't
most
seen
part.
anything yet, so just wait until your judgment.
And then,
Yeah, Bruz is also having a bit more ambition, so we need to remind him who's in charge.
yeah, like at the end of every episode, all the characters are like, well, that's our Sauron.
I'll help with the defense as well. I'll start with the food in the pantry. Make sure it hasn't been poisoned.
But it doesn't show yet, for this case, it's more a tutorial than anything. You will essentially have to resist with the forces that you have inside the fortress, including the warship that you appointed to two pieces of the fortress and the overlord that you appointed to, and you have to resist 3 waves, usually 3 waves, and the victory points. Essentially, since in the sieges you had to capture the victory points, in here you have to defend them from the other captains. The problem is simple. You have more of a disadvantage because if you get killed at any point during the defense, it's game over, and you have to restart, and you have to potentially recapture the entire fortress again. Like, I was this close actually, but thankfully this guy instead has the track of humiliation, which allows me to, just continue.
What's the humiliation trait?
Essentially, it instead of actually striking a blow to potentially finishing me off, the captain allows me to get back up because he wants to kill me properly.
Ow. Also, I guess it makes sense.
It kind of counts as if I passed automatically the check for, for resisting, but go on.
I guess it makes sense that if you die, it's game over, seeing as how, it sort of mirrors how it goes when you're invading the tower. Like, when you beat the head honcho, you win, and you're the head honcho here.
To be fair, though, I'm not. I think the better condition would have been if the Overlord was killed. And the Overlord,
That's fair.
The Overlord himself would not actually, will not actually show up unless your fortress is in real danger. Like all the victory points have been actually, taken, and they're basically at the last step.
I wonder if this implies that your squad is just that ineffective without you running them.
Potentially.
Speaking about an earlier cutscene, it's so interesting seeing how much happier Ratbag is working for us than he was technically having a higher rank.
As he did mention, being an overall for him and his companion Ranger was a pain in the ass, so yeah.
Ironic. So he has found happiness in servitude rather than being in charge.
It's kind of like how in the first game, you know, he wanted to be a war chief, but you know, at the end of the day, he just wanted to. Thought the responsibility was too much for him. Yeah.
Yeah, some of these screams are kind of hilarious.
Ow, ow. Also, one of my guys actually, you know, bleeding, so I need to actually save him.
Do we not have any medics here?
I'm the only one, unfortunately. See, like he
You
said,
know-
it really, it's like Jova just said, it really feels like I am the only one who can do anything here.
Yeah. You know, I don't think we've ever seen an orc medic in any Lord of the Rings media.
Remember, according to the lore, they use their grog for everything, and that includes also healing, or whatever its purpose.
So by drinking grog, you can heal wounds.
You maggot! This fortress was never yours to begin with. This is the dominion of Sauron, and in his name, we're taking it back.
I'm
Sure, he'll appreciate
Cool
that.
story, bro. But yeah, I don't know if it's the same in the book, but what's your stance on the dwarf body humor in the first Hobbit movie?
Could have lived without that. I don't think it's. I think it's more used more in the second movie than in the other two, so it's not always there. But I really could have used, you know, could have lived without it easily. Like it feels like someone at Warner Bros, you know, read the book and was like, "Oh, Bombur is the overweight guy. Let's make it in his entire shtick about that." But even in the book, it really wasn't. And as me and the others basically discovered eventually, it was more, when the Hobbit trilogy was more like a case of, you know, Warner Bros. Screwing over Peter Jackson, because as it also, you know, turned out, the extended cuts were entirely made by also his request in order to actually fix, you know, stuff that in the theatrical cut was not, you know, had not been explained or was just too stupid.
I'm guessing you're referring to the dwarf who loves to eat a lot.
Bombur.
Like, I mean, The Hobbit in general tacked on some very, very weird tropes and traits that... Okay, look, to be fair, one could argue maybe had a place in Lord of the Rings. Heck, even the singing technically was a part of the original story.
The thing about the singing is that it has always been present, but the Lord of the Rings was a lot restrained in actually presenting it, meaning that it gave the impression that it was not that present to begin with. But instead, since it's actually an important part in the Hobbit, you know, and instead they wanted, oh no.
Oh noes.
If you forgot, the tower was one of the Dark Numenorian, and apparently this guy got the armor and got possessed by it.
Oh, well, shoot.
It's one of those legendary encounters that you can get.
Wow, so this is a random encounter. So you're fighting the return of the Dark Tower, and he's down.
Alas.
Wow.
I hardly
that happened.
Wow, that was underwhelming.
It's funny, wasn't he underwhelming in the first game too?
He also was. To be fair, he was one of the more memorable of the three encounters because it required a, you know, stealth section to banish him. To be fair.
Well, at least he stayed true to himself. He's just as underwhelming here as he was there.
I'm just that good, actually. But my point being simply it was a combination of poor timing and you know, potential misrepresentation. Things could have been definitely better. Yes. This is important. So when you defeat the repel, you still get us to do a speech.
And that's the last of them, Bruz. Another attack will surely come. I hope so. This one was a blast. You fought very well.
There you go.
Would you defend this fort like it was my own?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah,
Really?
Bruz very predictably betrays you.
And I'm guessing this is like a story thing that's destined to happen, or is
Yes,
this only if you...
No matter what you do, Bruz decides his own fate like this. Just because he wanted to be the overlord of his stupid fault.
My dude, you do know we're very good at coming back from the dead, right?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't care. Even
Like, surely...
Celebrimbor and Talion will discuss also this.
Oh, I just love these missions where you're fucked no matter what you do.
So
Well,
in that
there's more of a
regard...
point in that, but hold on, I think Celebrimbor and Talion are about, like I said, about to discuss this.
Treason! We will retake our fortress. We will slaughter that wretched Olog and all who stand with
Get the
him.
idea Celebrimbor is not
The
happy.
ones who stand with us. Clearly their loyalty cannot be trusted.
All who resist will be made an example
He's
of.
not kidding. But
We're going to
that's-
shame Bruce hard, aren't we?
You really don't know yet, trust me on that. That's the entire point of this quest line. Getting our proper revenge on Bruz and see what happens to Ratbag in the process. I just say that it doesn't end really prettily.
Pay for his betrayal.
Oh, I would hope Ratbag at least is shrewd and savvy
Again,
enough to
by
know
the end of the
exactly
party
how
we'll
this
have
is
your
gonna go.
answer. But to answer your question again, the songs were actually put in proper paragraphs, Jova. You know, the story stops just to tell the song. For example, when Bilbo and the dwarves arrive at Rivendell, they literally are greeted with an entire song. You know, in the book that wasn't present in the movie.
Ranger, you've got trouble. Bruz has taken over your fortress.
I figured that was the plan when he stabbed me in the back.
Yeah.
Right through to the front. I mean, you were like bleeding blood.
Yeah.
The point is, the other orcs know that you had Bruz with your suffer me now. And they know he broke free, which has caused quite an impression, let me tell you.
Uh-oh.
It's lining up to follow him. Now, I'm not one to tell you how to do your business, but you need to put a stop to him right away. And you might want to mount a rescue.
A rescue?
Yeah, he's taken over a bunch of prisoners, one of whom is your overlord, I'm pretty sure. I want to save him.
Where?
This way. Really, it was like you were stuck on a spit.
I love
Yes,
this
shut
guy.
Being
Shut up.
Talion is suffering. Also, what is
Okay,
going
yeah.
on with my cape?
Also,
Oh,
yeah,
come
the tone of this game is definitely a lot better than the first one.
Go on ahead.
Yes and no. Like I argue, this is funny, but only in small doses.
I agree
And
with-
Ratbag sometimes curts the line.
I do get where Droobs is coming from. Like, well, there's not as much emphasis on my wife and child are dead, which really
I don't
clashed
even want
with
that. You know,
minor
Talion
moments.
doesn't really do that in this game. So
That's my point, though. Is like, well, I mean, that's part of why I agree with Droobs that the tone is better here. Because in the first game, it felt like we were constantly going back between my wife and child are dead to happy-go-lucky hijinks and back and forth and back and forth. Here, it feels more focused on the venture. Like, sure, yeah, in the background, that's still Talion's motivation, so he can finally die and be with them. But it's okay to have some funny hijinks along the way, more so here.
anyway, to conclude what I was saying, but my point in general being, Jova, if I had to hazard a guess, you know, the idea of stopping the story for a proper, you know, music, song and music and number probably works better just in an animated format than in live action, I suppose. That's what we have to take at the end of the day.
Let me make it clear. I'm actually fine with the idea of putting the songs in, since they do add to the world and lore. It just really felt like the movie was using them as padding at the time.
I can
Now,
tell
I
you
think
that the Goblin King, you know, song, the one performed by the comedian, because it's a comedian that plays that voice acts for the Goblin King. That one is original from the movie, and that's probably the reason why it sucks.
actually, I was gonna say I thought that the Goblin song was one of the ones that fit somewhat better, if only because the movie still felt like it was moving along with it.
I know.
And it's also one of the editions of the extended cuts, believe it or not.
I can see that, honestly. Like, I mean, again, the way I see it is like, you know, Jackson did not originally want the Hobbit trilogy to be as stretched out as it was, but the extended cuts are a necessary evil to actually
Yeah.
have made better
To
versions.
incorporate as
Because,
much as what we can have.
like, seriously, you only get the comeuppance of
To
that
be subordinate of the regent of the Lake Town, yes. Only
Yeah, in the extended cut.
Like, it got to the point, apparently that's only what TV tropes mention, so you have to take what you want. It got to the point that that addition was so actually, wanted by people that the moment it showed up at a premiere, people actually cheered up along with Jackson.
I actually can get it, like, because the guy was an absolute slime bag, and seeing him just slither away with money that he was getting, that would probably leave a bad taste. Also, that looked like Ratbag was feeling that guy's ass.
He was searching for a dagger, probably.
Your fortress. Had a lot of owners at fortress. Oh, and the fortress was mine. It's a wee bit drafty, but the views! I mean, I made a lot of improvements to that place.
Like your tunnel.
Yeah! I had an escape tunnel. Smart thinking, I thought. Great if you need to get out, that's for sure.
We could use that.
Why? We don't need to get out.
We could use it to get back in.
Right.
Where is this tunnel?
This way. I'm pretty sure.
The motion actor for
Yeah,
Ratbag
I'm
must
really
have just
with
been having
Talia
a
on
ball.
this. Yes, it's also basically now you have a rematch against Bruz in here. Kind of like as if you were fighting the Overlord of the Fortress, basically.
Welcome back, boss. So what was the plan? Rescue your boys? Bring them here for some kind of reckoning?
Yeah, pretty much.
That little shrug-stained Ratbag. Well, tell you what, I've got some friends too, mate. Yeah. We can have a real party, a right shindig, yeah? We can have some grog, play a few fun party games like pull the arms off the reindeer.
It would be funny if you can still recruit this guy later.
Anyway, again, this is also basically the reason why we pulled this questline until now. After this happens, I don't know if it's intentional or not, there's a very, decent probability that a lot of the captains that you have under your control might betray you for no real reason whatsoever, and it just happens. So essentially, if you want to actually have your army in check, it's best if you leave this for last. Mind you, I think because this is basically what happens since the first, during the first time that I played this, which was still a bit ago before I recorded it for the channel. So, what?
I don't think
I thought you wanted to say something.
No.
Oh, right. I was going to say, story-wise, the reason seems to be that, since, Bruz has shown that they can break free of control, that has inspired other people to try the same thing and rise to control story-wise.
Basically, but it can get annoying. Mind you, like I said, it's possible that during the patches applied, they actually reduce the rate of... Because during this run, after I did this questline, it did not happen as much as it did. So it's entirely possible that during my first run, I just got really, really bad luck, which would be during the spirit of this game, admittedly.
We did actually have it happen a few times before he
They had
betrayed
more of
you
a
in this
reason. The
playthrough.
Blood Brother thing happens regardless before this questline, mind you. The guy that betrayed me because he deemed that I was not fitting for command, that one was strange, admittedly. I don't know why it happened before this.
So just to check, is it only supposed to happen after Bruz's betrayal, or is it possible for...
but it's basically the chances rise up afterward.
Okay.
I got only one more to beat. Essentially, the entire questline will be trying to catch up with Bruz and him constantly get away until he's cornered. And you also notice that one of Bruz's allies, captain allies in this, apparently was one that actually bore the white hand of Saruman. So Bruz had an infiltrator and he did not even knew it. That's actually cute. And mind you, like I said, that it was randomly generated. It was not part of the story, but it has a layer to it. So yeah, since Bruz fucked up, so technically the fortress is ours again.
Huh.
You will not, if it happens again, not necessarily for Bruz, but in general, you will not be so lucky. You will have to mount an entire siege from the get-go.
Does Bruz play any more role in the story,
Yes,
or...?
Again, this entire part is dedicated to his quest line.
My enemies will find no weakness, no mercy.
Who voices him again?
Troy Baker for Talion and Alistair Duncan for Celebrimbor.
Well, they both sounded like they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah. Alistair Duncan is more reserved, even for a role that more hammy like Senator Armstrong in Metal Gear Rising. He did not scream that much. It was just, boldly proclaiming his statement more than anything. But here, no. He has to basically
Regent Conquer again.
He has to go like what Lime O'Brien did for Azra's Wrath.
Yeah.
You gotta love how a Scottish guy probably gave one of the most iconic American sounds in Metal Gear Rising.
Don't you see, Ryder? I'm gonna make America great again.
I'm gonna make Middle-earth great again. And anyway, yeah, I put the overall that I had before for extra irony back in his place.
Looks like a green lion man.
Yeah, I mentioned it before. It's a guy that I got off screen. I wish I could actually capture it because it was actually pretty cool.
I cannot wait till we show Rising to Shiroi. I can only imagine what her reaction is going to be when Senator Armstrong says that line years before Donald said it.
Well, remember, Pedro, it was Ronald Reagan who decided first.
True, yeah, that is true, yeah, I guess.
Although, you gotta admit,
it's a classic older than they think kind of thing.
I guess.
Talion! Ratbag needs your help! I've lost Ranger.
How do you lose an Olog?
He was taken. Found this messenger by his food bowl.
Isn't there an expression about killing the messenger?
Yeah, always kill the messenger.
That actually explains a lot. So what did he have to say?
He said, if you ever want to see your pet again, bring the Shrap-eaten grave walker.
Don't do that.
Yeah, please.
Don't do that.
You realize this is a trap?
Of course. But you owe me. And you owe Ranger. After all, we got rid of Bruz for you.
Not exactly how I remember it.
Didn't you run off?
But the fact is, we're your boys. What will the other orcs think if you don't stand up for one of your own?
He's right.
Sadly, Celebrimbor has a point.
If we allow our soldiers to be attacked without retribution, it will be seen as weakness.
You may have a point.
I do? I mean, yeah, I do.
Yeah, of course I do.
Let's go get Ranger.
Again, I love this guy.
I guess it works for the best because Stalin has to play the straight guy, I suppose, in response.
Look at us working together, just like the old days.
Yeah, just like in the first game, I suppose.
Just try not to die this time, or look like you're dying.
Don't worry about Ratbag, he's gonna be fine on his own this time around. You don't have to really put an escort mission.
Good for him.
Anyway, what you were saying, Jova?
Yeah, Metal Gear Rising just surprises me. Like, that game has had one of the weirdest trajectories of popularity I've ever seen for a game. Like, when it first came out, people were, of course, mixed as all hell, but it was starting to rise in popularity, but then it went dormant. But then, suddenly, just out of nowhere, it blew up to the point where it is arguably one of the most popular Metal Gear things, and I still have trouble tracking why that's the case.
Like I said, Maxwell's video, it's really just that. But anyway, predictably, as Talion imagined, it's a trap for Bruz. It's from Bruz, but Talion thinks that he can get rid of him, this way.
We'll end this.
Yeah.
Bruz, unfortunately, is still very smart.
First, it has to hurt. Then, if one of my boys killed you or that sniveling rat. So much the better.
I gotta give Ratbag credit, though, for being a lot more brave to legit fight on the front lines this time.
Well, not as necessary actually in gameplay, unfortunately. Okay, no, it actually does. I forgot that he did, but to be fair, you have to do most of the job. But I get what you mean. Go on.
I mean, hey, took a level in badass. That's nice. Like,
If you forgot also, white caragors are actually stronger than their normal counterpart. So Bruz actually prepared, an extra flavor to this trap.
you really want some revenge.
Thankfully, I had a perk that once I actually take over, a beast, all the ones nearby pass automatically under my control, so these will be easy as a result. Was anyone left? Okay, I guess you.
Come on, guys, let's dance to this beat.
Casual bongos.
Come back here, you rotten piece of schmuck!
He's gone. We'll
Wow, what a brave soul he is running away.
I'm not done with him!
The reason why
it's-
Ratbag is so invested is because, as he mentioned, Ranger, the Olog-Ai, was taken prisoner by Bruz, and Ratbag genuinely cares about him, he's the other major friend that he has.
I will scour every inch of Mordor until I find him.
Wow, he really does care. I don't think I've seen him ever this motivated.
Bruz is just the beginning. The more power we gain, the more others will seek to challenge it.
Then we'll kill them.
No, he must be made an example of, or others will rise to take his place.
Then we'll kill them as well.
Why kill countless challengers when you can stop it all by breaking one?
Because
Not
that's
kidding.
boring.
Win a war. And not play your politics.
Stop
Yeah,
having politics in my game.
Italian, have you
You're a
been
bit
paying
late for
attention?
that.
Yeah, have you been paying attention what we've been doing the entire last two
Yeah,
games?
It's like that clip from Alien Resurrection with Long Perman. Has anyone paid attention today?
Popping off heads is hardly a cause. But you're right.
I unfortunately can't disappoint, but you will see just where those lead. For the time being, we just need to follow Bruz's trail.
I wonder, like, do you legit have to deal with an whole arc of trouble whenever someone betrays you and takes over your place? Like,
Kinda, sorta, but again, you will just see. Don't worry. For the time being, Bruz has been, cited at Kirito.
Follow me!
Let me guess. You received another message from Bruz.
Aye, and you're not gonna like what he had to say. Bruce snatched up some of your boys and poisoned them. He wants you to know that
The main gimmick is that it will move from region to region. These missions will happen after you conquer each fortress, because it will snatch a bunch of your captains that you recruited there and do something with that.
Jeez. Bruce is the vindictive one, I can see.
I honestly don't even remember how many villainous roles Gideon Emery got to voice act for. He's mostly usually done for the good guy or the mentor kind of figure, the best friend.
Must be fun to get to stretch his legs, like I forget
To
the
be fair,
actor's name.
you can almost say the same of Sam Riegel, and he plays regular orc mooks in this, so there is that too.
Sam Riegel did get a go at playing a villain when he played Starscream in the War for Cybertron series.
Oh, he played Starscream, okay.
Yes, he did.
Fair enough. And again,
What a
if
Starscream
you
he
follow
played.
if you follow Critical Role, you know that he's very versatile anyway. So
I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
seen it.
since it's done as a tabletop, role-play session with, you can treat it as a podcast and listening to the in background if you do something else. It basically works the same. But there are actually videos dedicated about it that you can actually see them on camera, live reaction, anything. Or sometimes someone bothers to actually animate, something that they do. And of course, there's the novelty factor of being, a bunch of voice actors that you normally know for their job and profession, doing, mundane stuff like playing D&D. It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of like that episode of Batman the Animated Series, Almost Got Him, where you see a bunch of villains just playing poker, It's kind of like that.
Pretty much. Speaking of which, if you ever want to hear Mark Hamill talk about Pokemon, there's actually that Pokemon commercial that combines Pokemon footage with the episode from Almost Got Him, where Ash pretty much introduces the villains to the concept of playing the Pokemon trading card game.
I guess I'm starting to guess why YouTube poops became very popular in the mid-2000s, because I'm guessing, at least for, North American cultures, they were already used to use that kind of format of, taking pieces of something else and, redubbing them or mixing and matching them like that.
Yep. Except they were official, but yeah, when you get down to it, some of the commercials from earlier time were kind of the setups for YouTube poops.
We really didn't do that.
We've gotten to the point now where some people have made legit edits to Endgame to pretty much edit in heroes from all sorts of media interacting during the iconic final fight.
Wasn't that crossover video? I still haven't watched it. It's probably been taken down by now.
Nope. Both of them are still up, actually.
Anyway, after you freed all of your captains, one that poses as Bruz's subordinate will show up, and you have to defeat him.
So I wonder, when Bruz had betrayed us, was he going back to Sauron's side, or was he just doing his own thing?
His own.
Wow.
Some of your betrayals might happen, because of them wanting to be again servant of the Dark Lord, but others might just happen because of ambition. There we go.
I think I've had enough of Bruz and his antics.
You know what must be done. Death will not suffice.
Stab him in the balls and then kill him.
Testicular torsion!
Yay!
Unfortunately, I don't think it works for an Olog-Ai.
If he keeps this up,
It's like in the Beowulf 2007 movie. He's got no junk!
Oh, what a strange movie that was.
And honestly, okay, it has some validity towards the original mythos of Beowulf, but I heard that there actually have been better adaptations.
I think our main issues were that the changes it made weren't the best for a lot of it.
Also, I tried to play the official video game and it is a chore. I will need to dedicate, a lot of effort when it comes to recording that. It's not necessarily difficult, more like you said, a chore to go through.
Oh, right, I forgot there was a video
Published by
game
Ubisoft.
Yeah, that checks out. Speaking of which, I hear that Captain Laserhawk is actually a pretty good show.
I really don't like what they did to Rayman, but it's a long story.
I understand it's apparently supposed to be some meta commentary on that, and in typical Ubisoft fashion,
they gave him essentially sort of a John Wick kind of arc, where he was working for a bad organization, but then he has a redemption arc and he shoots out of people, but poor timing. It's similar to, now seeing Metroid Prime Federation Force before, a new game.
Up, Mega Man.
Kind of like that too. If we had already a lot of games of Rayman coming out around the same time, this would have probably felt much better. But right now, like I said, poor timing.
The ironic thing is that with the timing, it makes you wonder if this is what's become of poor Rayman after not having a game for so long.
Yeah, also these light. You see, the commentary done in the DLC for Mario plus Rabbids actually worked better. But hold on.
What's wrong? You got an army to raise and a war to win. But here you are wasting.
If you didn't pay attention, Ratbag told us that this might be the location where Bruz has put Ranger.
Because a pack of my categories woke up in a foul mood this morning, so I decided to cut him loose. They haven't eaten in days.
Piece of shit.
You put a lot of time and effort into this, didn't you?
Now we got 30 seconds to catch up with him.
Thankfully, thanks to my agility, Eddie was a dummy. I think there's a 60s Batman joke to be made here.
Did you really think I was done toying with you?
Imagine if by the end of this we find out he's actually killed Ranger.
And yeah, since he's arrow-proof, I cannot even teleport to his location. God damn it.
He thought of everything.
I need to get out before the
I'm
cave
on
explodes.
fire!
Trust me, you'll be on much
Got
more fire
better.
if you don't get the heck out.
We'll fix that.
How kind of you.
And now I just need to defeat these guys. No, again, Jova, at the end of the day, you know, the commentary done in the Mar plus Rabbids DLC was actually technically better, because it still, you know, put Raven in a more heroic term, you know, using his own terms and everything. While instead, the Captain Laserbeak series, basically reinvents completely the character to be more of a parody of himself. So it's hard to describe. Also not helped that he's not voiced by David Gassman, but by someone else. So there's also a bit of inconsistency on that.
Also, of course, in typical fashion, Ubisoft seemed to be the bad guys of Captain Laserhawk.
Was it a trap? I saw Bruz double back, and then I heard a bunch of explosions, and then you killed a bunch of... Oh, right. It was a trap. But no worries, I saw where he went. I'll track him down.
Thankfully, next mission will be the last, so don't worry. Bruz is essentially done toying with us, because it's time to gain the upper hand.
This was a waste of time.
Not if Ratbag manages to track down Bruz. Once that happens, we'll end this.
Yeah. The
There
final
you go.
mission will be in Gorgoroth. Go on, Pedro.
I'm honestly wondering who David Gassman is going to play in Star Wars Eclipse, if that game ever comes out, that is.
What is David Gassman doing these days?
A bit of everything. He's still a regular voice actor for all the things, particularly also French dubs. To be fair, Pedro, there's also the Bounty Hunter, not Bounty Hunter, but you know the other Star Wars game that Ubisoft is publishing. Maybe he's in that one too.
Hopefully, it'll be nice.
They got actual professional wrestlers in Captain Laserhawk.
Well, yeah, why wouldn't they?
For voice
No, but they
acting.
actually, as in they play themselves. Kenny Omega and Cody.
Kenny
Rhodes.
Omega, from what I understand, is a huge nerd of a lot of things, so he's getting a lot of cross-promotional material in a lot of video games, like he has like a Dragon
I'll
Ishin.
handle this. Just keep out of sight. More surprises.
No, that is true.
No faffing about.
Like, that reminds me, there's well, actually no, I've already shown you like his Goku voice. Never mind.
Didn't he also voice Olog?
Our priority should be making an example of Bruz.
He will be dealt with, but we have to make sure Ranger is safe.
The boss has been in
Oolong. Probably, yeah. I don't know. I mean, his most well-known role in the big green double of Dragon Ball Z is, of course, playing Goku, and his voice doesn't fit Goku at all. He's so horribly miscast. You have to help me. Yeah, the terrible direction doesn't help either. And of course, and it's also one of those cases that, like Dwebs likes to say, it's one of those cases where I appreciate the attempt at trying to be faithful to the Japanese script. The problem is they take it way too far and make things way too little. Instead of flying Nimbus, it's come magic cloud.
Come magic cloud.
like it's such a like I get that that's what it's called in the Japanese version, but like when you say it in a Western context, it comes across as so generic, you know.
It's
So.
funny
Sorry,
because
but
I think I told Pedro already, but not the others. Because in my country's dub, instead it was called Speedy Cloud.
Well, that's also kind of generic. Now, see, that's the thing too. My country stuck to that Japanese, and they called it just Magic Cloud as well. And yeah, like it's one of those bits where it's just like, just call it Quinto or Nimbus. Like, it's just like when you say that's what they say. It really is one of those cases where when you say it in a Western context, it really comes across differently.
Anyway, we found Ranger again. Ratbag did his job, and this time around we do have the upper end. Bruz actually doesn't know that we're actually arriving. This is also the point why you don't need to not raise the alarm. But thanks to our teleportation powers, we can actually sneak right to where we need to. I'm just neutralizing the guards here just to be sure. And we can actually free Ranger.
It's all right. It's all right.
Easy. Easy.
Fuck, I cut off your hands, sorry.
Let me try
It's
again.
dark in here. It's dark in here, I can't see properly.
Can you walk?
Yeah.
You didn't answer my question.
The gimmick about Ranger is that he understands, human speech, but he prefers to. He just talks about using the dark language of Mordor.
Which makes me wonder if Talion can understand him.
No, he just, roughly
I take it
interpreted.
you're ready to end this. That makes two of us.
But yeah, and now it's time to use this to actually take our proper revenge on Bruz, which again is not expecting us.
Ratbag may call Ranger his pet, but I truly believe he sees him as his friend.
Yeah.
What the bloody blazes are you doing here? And who said you could let Ranger out of his cage?
Sorry, this time we are the one in control. Go on, Pedro.
Arrow proof. You know how in the Japanese version too, Goku usually calls Roshi old man. In the big green dub, they actually do take that literally as well, and he calls him the old one. Not even old man, just the old one.
I cannot really speak for myself because Roshi barely got called with his name in my country's dub. Instead, he was called the Turtle Genie, which technically is, what it is. But like I said this to Dweebs during one of our Dark Souls part. I still, commend a lot of the voice acting that we did because the voice actor that he chose actually do resemble more the Japanese counterparts instead of sounding unnecessarily deep like the English dub. But they just had a very weird script to work with in terms of naming. The translation is actually more correct, but it's just some names that are, unnecessarily changed, like Piccolo to Junior.
To me, when you're dubbing things, you should try to capture the spirit of the word rather than just the text.
I understand
Otherwise, you'll end up with some really awkward dubs.
I understand that, Weebs, but what does that mean exactly?
I can help you there too, because like I said, Morgan Rush. Well, keep going while I get the actual words going.
No,
I'd say
my
it's
point
overall...
being that can be used in such a broad term to just justify a thing that you like,
I'd say it's very much a case-to-case basis. Some translations will vary in okay, maybe we should really change this so that the message gets around better, or a simple text-to-text one.
Yeah.
And granted, there are the connotations where sometimes pulling changes actually does make the story more entertaining to the point where even the original language prefers that.
All right, hold on. Now we're actually getting to this.
Enough. Kill me. Just end it.
No. This is not a regular shame.
You reduced into a crybaby.
I'm guessing...
We will see in a second, Jova.
It's good to see you too.
Nobody can understand him.
Fucking idiot.
It's almost like he's talking. Thank you, Ranger.
Although
And there you go.
they're really
With this, Ratbag genuinely is our friend without, brainwashing everything. But
I don't want the food. I never wanted the food. Is that Bruz? You broke him.
personality is completely gone.
I'd rather die than live like that.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Come on, Ranger. Let's get out of here. She's giving me the creeps.
Yeah, Ratbag
Yeah.
just decides wisely to nope the fuck out of this because he knows things are about to get ugly. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
That should tell you just how fucked up these movies kind of is. After this, you gain as a perk that you can toggle on and off, adding an extra bit to your shame. Essentially, when you're doing it, there's a percentage that the orc in question will actually snap and become insane as a result, completely losing their personality and becoming basically a wreck of themselves. It's easy to find on YouTube and, recounting on people, that talk about this game, of people not wanting to use much this mechanic because the game will genuinely make you feel sorry for it. And I don't mean in terms of becoming difficult. You will actually feel sad for these orcs' lives.
Is it like it'll get so bad to the point where they just can't even talk properly, or...
Anyway, well, you will see. It depends on case to case. In the case of Bruz, he will become available again, in the... But he keeps talking about this. Always, no matter what happens. Again, in contrast to the personality that they had before, yeah, you can tell that, something is just horribly wrong. But again, others will just be reduced to a bumbling mess, in general not recognizing you, You will see other examples of that.
Alright.
And to answer your question from before, Drova, as I'm about to demonstrate, yes, after this you can recruit Bruz again, but like I said, he will not have personality anymore, so is it really worth it?
So he's essentially a walking corpse in that sense.
Well, a shell of themselves. Again, death of a personality rather than the body. Celebrimbor had a point, but, it really goes to question your methods.
Like, again, when other orcs are telling you, you done screwed up, son.
And like I said, this is also enough to let Ratbag decide to nope the fuck out of more Mordor. We will never see him again for the rest of the story.
That is kind of sad, since it seemed like we were genuinely bonding, but all the same, probably a smart move on his part, like...
I really wish one of the DLCs was about him, but again, why they dedicate to other characters?
Like, the deal with Ratbag is, I get it, like, I get the feeling he still sees Talion as a friend. He probably even understands why Talion did what he did, since I think he's aware of the ghost partner. But that being said... Oh, he's not. Okay.
He just knows about, Talion being the Bright Lord, but doesn't know the ramifications of it.
That's it. I think he can get why Talion did what he did, but look at it from his perspective. Even if Talion is in the right, there's gonna be fallout from this, and you just know, even if the people who aren't broken don't eventually rage out and slaughter everyone from simple madness, that if Blood Brothers get involved, they're absolutely gonna get pissed from this. Like, as far as Ratbag's concerned, this can probably only end in blood and tears, and Yeah, I think after his career, he's had enough of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Before we end the part, Pedro.
Yes, okay. Because Morgan Rushton from Level 5 made a good case study PDF about what that specifically entails. In fact, he even says right here, so the objective of the translation is to produce text that's comparable in quality to that of any other artistic medium. What this entails, here it is too, what this entails is diverging from the source text where advantageous / necessary, occasionally widely. And he brings up, and the risks that you mentioned. The risks is alienating the Japanophile audience, and of course throwing the baby out of the bathwater, as in exaggerating. We have to manage the risks by, and they say here, always focus on preserving the spirit if not the detail. Take care not to be self-indulgent, as in no irrelevant personal agendas. And he also gives an example in the Wizard's Companion. There's a chapter in the Wizard's Companion that talks about the items, and in the Japanese version it says, always have items ready, always lay in provisions, using them at the right time might save you and your companions. This of course sounds incredibly boring and generic, and it's like a grocery list, right? So to make it a bit more, fantasy-ish, they decided to go for the whole ye old English thing. A well-provided wizard can, in times of direst need, be help upon his fellow man, his every wish exceed. Basically. And he says right here, we frequently diverted from the original, but this was in order to preserve its spirit. Level 5 gave the Level 5, the Japanese branch gave them complete freedom to produce a localization of the highest possible detail and everything. A good example that I can also talk about, of course, is in the Worldlands Review, where Neku's Japanese dialogue is far less rude in comparison, because they went with the Japanese logic of, if you're quiet all the time, that means you're being rude, which that's not a thing in Western culture. So so in order to have Neku come across as rude like he's supposed to, the localization team had to change his dialogue to make up for the fact that being quiet doesn't mean you're rude. So
just for the sake of not making the part too long, this second part I get it more, because it's kind of something that similarly happened maybe to Final Fantasy VII. The first part, I argue, didn't, when you actually just put that example, did not really change it that much. What I mean in terms of, it's something that, for example, Ted Woolsey would have done in the Super Nintendo era, which, like he said, I argue is more miss than hit, but it's a story usually for time.
But he gave us the definitive version of Kefka, which even the
Japanese... I guess if the price to pay is screwing entirely Secret of Mana, I guess that works out. But
that being said, no, I do think my Neku example is definitely an excellent example of how this was something that was necessary to preserve the original intent.
It's like I said, I honestly think it's a case-to-case basis.
Obviously, yeah.
Anyway, tune in for the next part, where as Talion, we will take another diversion, this time to conquer the region that, that was available with the DLC of Lytiad. See you for that.
See ya.
See ya.